Lily hadn't planned on leaving. Not like this. Not with nothing but 42 crumpled dollars, a phone with 9% battery, and the clothes she threw on while her hands were still shaking. The night before was a blur of shouting, her stepfather's voice booming through the house, her mother's silence like a wound that never closed, the crash of something thrown against a wall. Lily remembered gripping her backpack and trying not to cry. She remembered her mother grabbing her wrist, eyes full of fear and apology, but nothing else. There were no keys pressed in her palm, no quiet whisper of "I'll find you," no promise that anyone would follow. So Lily walked out the door, down the street, past the corner where she used to wait for school buses, and she kept walking until the sun scraped over the horizon and the air turned cold enough to sting her lungs. At the gas station, a man stepped out of his truck, middle-aged, grease on his hands, a mechanic's jacket zipped up against the wind. He glanced at her suitcase, then at her hunched shoulders. "You lost?" he asked, voice rough but not unkind. Lily swallowed. It hurt to talk. "Just going." "Going where?" She stared at the asphalt. "Anywhere." The man nodded like he'd heard that before. Maybe he had. "You hungry?" Lily hesitated long enough for the cold to remind her she hadn't eaten since yesterday afternoon. "A little." He motioned toward the station shop. "Come on." Inside, fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, too bright for someone who'd cried half the night. The man pointed to a heated case. "Pick something warm." "On me." "A breakfast sandwich is fine," she murmured. He shook his head. "Take two. And a drink. Doesn't look like you've eaten in days." Her throat tightened. She grabbed two sandwiches, a bottled water, and walked to the counter. The cashier scanned the items, eyebrows slightly raised at the sight of her suitcase, but said nothing. As they stepped back outside, the man handed her small bills, $15. "Bus doesn't come till 9. You'll need it." Lily blinked. "Why are you helping me?" He shrugged. "Kid your age shouldn't look that tired. Besides, someone did the same for my daughter once. Guess I'm paying it forward." Those words tugged something loose in her chest, something fragile, something that had been stitched too tight for too long. If you were standing there in that moment, cold, hungry, and hurting, what would you have done? Be honest, and drop your answer below. And if you can't put it into words, just tap like to show compassion still matters. The man tipped his cap and stepped away, leaving her with warmth in her hands and a strange ache behind her ribs. For the first time since she walked out the door, Lily felt like the world wasn't entirely made of hard edges. She ate slowly, savoring each bite. It tasted like relief. When she finished, she dug her phone from her pocket and stared at the cracked screen. One message blinked from an unknown number. "Don't come back. It's better for all of us." "Mom." The words didn't cut, they flattened her. Hope drained out of her, as if someone had opened a hidden valve she didn't know she had. Lily closed her eyes and let her head fall back against the cold brick wall. A shaky breath slipped from her lips. "Okay," she whispered to no one. Maybe her mother meant safety. Maybe she meant fear. Maybe she meant she couldn't protect her own child anymore. But meaning didn't change reality. Lily was alone. A bus hissed to a stop, its door creaking open. The driver barely glanced at her before saying, "You getting on?" Lily looked at the road behind her, the town that suddenly felt like a bruise. Then she looked ahead at the empty patch of highway she didn't know. She lifted her suitcase and stepped inside. The bus was nearly empty, seats dusty from disuse. Lily slipped into the far back corner and pressed her forehead against the cool window as the engine rumbled to life. The town blurred, then vanished behind trees and turns. She didn't know where she was going, but she knew where she would never return. With every mile, something inside her quietly broke and quietly rebuilt itself, grain by grain. The bus rattled on, morning melting into noon, and Lily watched the world pass like scenes from a life she didn't belong to. What she didn't know, what no one watching her could guess, was that somewhere miles away, at that exact moment, a man in a glass tower office had just discovered her name. And everything was about to change. The city the bus crawled into didn't look like it belonged to the same world Lily had left behind. Glass buildings scraped the sky, neon signs blinked over crowded sidewalks, and every corner hummed with a noise she'd never heard up close. Possibility. but possibility felt heavy when you didn't have a plan. The bus sighed to a halt. Lily stepped down, suitcase in tow, and was immediately swallowed into a river of strangers. Shoes clacked. Car horns blared. A vendor shouted orders over steam curling from a food cart. Nobody looked twice at her, and maybe that was the only blessing she had. She wandered until her steps slowed in front of a community shelter. Brick walls painted with murals of hands lifting hearts and children running beneath bright suns. A sign on the gate read, "No judgment, no questions, just rest." Her knees wobbled at those words. Inside, the air smelled like laundry detergent and soup. Volunteers in blue shirts moved between tables, handing out plastic trays. A woman with curly hair and warm eyes approached. "First time here?" she asked. Lily nodded, unable to speak. The woman smiled like she understood anyway. "My name's Grace. You hungry?" Lily managed, I think so." Grace motioned her toward a counter where bowls of thick stew waited. "Eat. Then if you want, we'll figure out the rest." Lily sat, spoon trembling slightly in her hand. Across from her, an older man with a weathered face stirred his stew with slow, careful motions. "Rough day?" he asked. Lily gave a tiny shrug. "Rough year." He chuckled softly. "Seems we all got stories like that in here." Lily met his gaze, and she saw something she expected to see only in mirrors. Hurt, pushed down deep so it didn't show. A knot loosened inside her chest. He leaned back, stretching his legs. "Someone helped me when I had nothing left. Guess that's why I keep coming back, even when I don't need to." His voice held a strange hope, fragile but stubborn. Have you ever had someone reach out when you had nothing left? Someone who lifted you up instead of walking by? If so, type yes and tell me their name. Gratitude deserved breath. Lily set her spoon down and exhaled slowly. These people, none of them knew her, yet every small gesture wrapped around her like a blanket she didn't know she needed. After she finished eating, Grace motioned her over to a desk. Folders, pencils, and a tin of mismatched rubber bands sat scattered across its surface. "Name?" Grace asked gently. "Lily Hart." "Age?" 17. Almost 18. "Do you have anywhere to go?" Lily swallowed. "Not anymore." Grace nodded, typing into an ancient computer. "No pressure today. You can sleep here a couple nights, get your feet under you. If you want help finding options, school, work, a safe room, we'll walk that path with you." No one had ever said anything like that to her. Walk with her, not push her, not scold her, not abandon her. Lily felt her eyes sting, but she blinked hard and rubbed the sensation away. Grace pretended not to notice. "Come on," she said, standing. "Let's get you a bed." The sleeping quarters were lined with bunk beds, soft lamplight turning the walls golden and gentle. Blankets were folded neatly. Pillows looked impossibly soft compared to the stiff couch cushions and childhood floorboards Lily used to sleep on during fights. She sat on the edge of the mattress and let herself breathe, slow, deep, grounding breaths. Her phone buzzed. She nearly dropped it. "Unknown number. This is Michael. I need to meet you. It's urgent. Unknown number. Please call." She stared at the screen until her vision blurred. Michael, her estranged biological father. A man she hadn't seen since she was 10. A man her mother never spoke kindly of. Why now? How did he know she left? A sour wave of fear rolled through her stomach. She didn't call. She turned her phone face down on the blanket and lay back, staring at the ceiling until sleep pulled her under like a tide she couldn't resist. Morning arrived too soon. Volunteers clattered dishes in the hallway, voices a soft chorus of ordinary kindness. Lily rubbed her eyes, sat up, and checked her phone. 10 missed calls. 14 texts. "Michael again. Where are you? Please answer. You're not safe there. I'm coming." Her pulse skittered. Why would she not be safe here? Had something happened back home? Did her stepfather call someone? Did her mother? No. She couldn't spiral. Not yet. Grace knocked lightly on the bunk frame. "Breakfast is ready if you're hungry." Lily nodded, but she stayed frozen while Grace walked away. Her mind was a storm. By mid-morning, she mustered the courage to go downstairs. People gathered at long tables, steam rising from oatmeal and toast. Lily slipped into a seat, but she barely tasted anything. The doors opened behind her. Footsteps, quick, heavy, crossed the floor. Voices rustled. Someone stopped directly beside her chair. Lily, her breath caught in her lungs. She turned, and there he was, Michael Hart, a stranger with her eyes. His voice cracked when he spoke. I've been looking for you for years. Lily's world shifted, and nothing felt steady anymore. Lily stared at him like he was a mirage the city had decided to play on her. Michael Hart looked older than she remembered. Lines etched around his eyes, streaks of gray cutting through his dark hair. But the way his hands trembled gave him away. This wasn't confidence. It was fear wrapped in urgency. I don't understand, Lily said, her voice barely steady. How did you even know where I was? Michael exhaled, slow and controlled, as if grounding himself before speaking. I didn't at first. I got a call last night from a woman who works at a bus station 2 towns over. She remembered my name from years ago. Said a girl who looked just like me asked about routes to the city. Lily's stomach tightened. You've been looking? For a long time, he said quietly. I just didn't know how to reach you without making things worse. Grace appeared at Lily's side, sensing the tension. Everything okay here? Michael turned to her immediately. Yes. I'm her father. I should have announced myself better. I'm sorry. Grace studied him carefully, then looked at Lily. Do you want to talk to him? Lily hesitated. Every instinct screamed run, but something else, something deeper, kept her rooted. Yes, she said. They moved to a small office near the back, sunlight spilling through a dusty window. Lily sat across from Michael, hands folded tight in her lap. I didn't come to drag you anywhere, he said quickly. I just needed to make sure you were safe. Lily let out a brittle laugh. Funny, you weren't worried about that when I was a kid. Michael flinched, not defensively, but like the words landed exactly where they were meant to. You're right. I failed you. Silence filled the room, thick and heavy. I left because I thought staying would hurt you more, he continued. Your mom. She made it clear I wasn't welcome. I thought distance would protect you. I was wrong. Lily's chest burned. You disappeared. I know. Her voice rose despite herself. Do you have any idea what that did to me? To wonder, every birthday, if you remembered, to hear my stepfather say, you never wanted me. Michael's eyes filled. He didn't wipe them away. Every day, I wanted to show up. Every day, I convinced myself I'd only make things worse. The words didn't fix anything, but they cracked something open. What do you want now? Lily asked. I want to help, he said. Not control. Not erase the past. Just help you move forward. She leaned back, exhausted. I don't even know what that looks like. Michael nodded. Then let's not decide everything today. Grace knocked gently and stepped in. Lily, we're organizing volunteer groups for lunch prep. You're welcome to join or rest. Lily looked between them. Something about staying still felt unbearable. I'll help. The kitchen buzzed with quiet activity. Lily chopped vegetables beside a college student named Ava, who talked about exams and dreams like the future wasn't something fragile. Michael hovered at first, then joined in, washing dishes, sleeves rolled up, soap bubbles sliding down his wrists. No speeches, no demands, just presence. Now it's your turn. Share one small good thing you've done recently, no matter how tiny it feels. Write it below, so others remember kindness still breathes. Your story might be the light someone else needs today. Hours passed in a rhythm Lily hadn't felt in years. Purpose, simple and steady. When the rush slowed, Michael dried his hands and approached her again. I need to tell you something important, he said. But maybe not here. Her heart skipped. Tell me. I'm not just visiting, he said softly. I live here now. Lily blinked. Since when? 3 months. I moved for work. Consulting. He hesitated. I didn't know you'd ever leave. I just wanted to be closer, just in case. Something inside Lily trembled. So why the urgency? Michael lowered his voice. Because the house you left, your stepfather reported you missing. Her breath caught. What? He's already contacted the police, Michael said. Claimed you ran away. Claimed you're unstable. Fear surged, hot and sharp. That's not true. I know, he said quickly. But it gives him leverage. If they find you without a guardian. I'm almost 18, she snapped. 2 months still matter, he said gently. I can help protect you. Legally. Lily's thoughts raced. Shelter. Police. Her mother's text. The weight of being pulled back into a place that felt like a cage. I won't go back, she whispered. Michael met her gaze. Then don't. I won't force you. Silence stretched again, but this time it didn't crush her. It steadied her. What are you not telling me? Lily asked. Michael hesitated, then reached into his jacket and slid a folded document onto the table. I didn't come empty-handed. She unfolded it slowly. Her name stared back at her, typed official impossible. Lily Hart. Beneficiary. Her pulse thundered in her ears. What is this? She breathed. Michael swallowed. Something your grandmother set up years ago. Something I wasn't allowed to access until now. Lily's hand shook. Outside, the low rumble of engines echoed across the street. Deep, powerful, unmistakable. And suddenly, every sound in the room seemed to pause. The sound grew louder. Not the usual traffic hum, but something heavier, more deliberate. A deep mechanical thrum rolled through the shelter walls, vibrating cups on the counter, rattling the window pane like a held breath. Lily froze. Do you hear that? Michael nodded slowly. His jaw tightened, not in fear, but in recognition. Yeah, I do. Grace stepped into the kitchen doorway, her brow furrowed. Is something going on outside? Before anyone could answer, Ava leaned in from the hallway, eyes wide. There's a jet. Like an actual jet. Landing. Lily's heart slammed. That's impossible. There's no airport here. Ava shook her head. Not an airport. The private landing strip near the river. The one they only use for, she stopped herself, swallowing. For very important people. The room buzzed with murmurs. Volunteers clustered near the windows. Someone whispered, "Is that military?" Another joked nervously, but Lily couldn't move. The paper in her hands suddenly felt heavier than steel. Michael touched her arm. Lily, we should step outside. Every instinct screamed no. She'd walked away with nothing. Nothing happened to girls like her. Not this. Not ever. But her feet carried her forward anyway. Outside, the air was charged, wind whipping dust into spirals, hair pulled loose from ponytails. Beyond the chain-link fence by the river, sleek white metal rested against the earth like a creature that had descended from another world. A private jet, its engines cooled with a low hiss. Sunlight glanced off its curved body, blinding and surreal. People stared openly now. Phones lifted. Someone gasped. A man in a dark suit stepped down first. Then another. Then a woman in heels that clicked sharply against the pavement as she walked with practiced calm. She scanned the small crowd. Then her eyes landed on Lily. And she smiled. Lily Hart, the woman called. Lily's throat closed. She nodded faintly. I'm Eleanor Shaw, the woman said, extending her hand. Legal counsel for the Hart Family Trust. The words didn't land all at once. They arrived slowly, like pieces of a puzzle Lily didn't know she was holding. The what? Eleanor's smile softened. Your grandmother, Margaret Hart, established a trust 15 years ago. It became fully accessible this morning. Michael inhaled sharply beside her. Lily's knees buckled. He caught her before she fell. I don't understand, Lily whispered. My grandmother died when I was little. She barely knew me. She knew enough, Eleanor said gently. She knew you'd need a way out someday. Eleanor motioned toward the jet. We're here to escort you. Somewhere private. Somewhere safe. The crowd had gone silent. Even the city noise seemed to fade. Lily looked around, at the shelter doors, at Grace, standing with a hand pressed to her mouth, at Ava's stunned expression. I came here with a suitcase and bus change, Lily said, voice trembling. I don't belong on that. Eleanor met her gaze. You belong wherever you decide to stand. If that moment hit you right in the chest, leave a red heart. Sometimes one small symbol says what words can't. Michael leaned close, his voice barely audible. This doesn't erase what you've been through, but it gives you choices. Choices. The word felt foreign. What about them? Lily asked, gesturing back toward the shelter. I can't just disappear. Grace stepped forward, eyes shining. You didn't disappear, she said. You arrived, and you're welcome back anytime. Lily's vision blurred. She hugged Grace tightly, breathing in soap and warmth and safety. Then, with shaking hands, she picked up her battered suitcase. The jet door stood open. She took one step, then another. As the engines began to hum again, Lily glanced back one last time. At the place that caught her when she fell, at the people who reminded her she mattered even before anyone knew her name. The door closed behind her with a soft, final click. Inside, leather seats, quiet air, and a stillness that felt unreal. Lily sank into a chair, heart pounding so loudly she thought it might echo. Eleanor sat across from her. There's a lot to explain, but for now, rest. Lily stared out the window as the city shrank beneath them. She had walked away with nothing, and now the world was unfolding in ways she never imagined. But deep inside, one question still burned. Why did it take so long for anyone to see her? The answer was waiting. The jet sliced through the clouds like it had someplace urgent to be, like the sky itself had made room just for Lily. She pressed her forehead to the oval window, watching the city dissolve into patterns of light and shadow. Everything below looked smaller now, manageable, distant. Inside the cabin, silence wrapped around her, thick and unfamiliar. The leather seat hugged her back. A blanket rested across her knees, warm and impossibly soft. It felt wrong to be this comfortable when her chest still ached. Michael sat across the aisle, hands folded, eyes fixed on nothing. He looked like a man afraid to move in case the moment shattered. Eleanor returned with a slim folder. We won't go into numbers tonight, she said gently. Just the truth. Lily nodded. Your grandmother, Eleanor continued, wasn't a wealthy woman when she had your father. She built everything later, quietly. Investments, property, patience. But when she learned about you, she paused. She rewrote everything. Michael's jaw tightened. She tried to be in your life, Eleanor said, eyes shifting briefly to him. But she was kept away. So she planned differently. Lily swallowed. She planned me. She planned your freedom. The words landed heavier than any sum of money could have. When the trust activated this morning, Eleanor went on, it triggered a series of protections. Legal, financial, personal, including transport. Lily's voice cracked. All this because she thought I'd need to escape? Yes, Eleanor said softly. She believed some storms don't pass. They must be left behind. Lily closed her eyes. Images flooded her mind. Her mother's tired face, her stepfather's cold silence, the sound of the door shutting behind her. Michael shifted. There's more, he said. Lily looked at him. I knew about the trust, he admitted. Not the amount, not the details, but I knew it existed. Her heart lurched. You knew? Yes, he said quickly, and I hated myself for it. I wasn't allowed to access it, and I wasn't allowed to contact you. The conditions were strict. So you just waited? Her voice sharpened despite her effort. I stayed close, he said. I moved here because this was the nearest place I could be without crossing lines. I told myself that when the time came, if it ever did, I'd be ready. Lily looked away, tears burning. All those years, all that silence. The jet began its descent, engines lowering to a steady murmur. Outside, mountains rolled beneath them, dark green and endless. They landed at a private airfield tucked into quiet land. No crowds, no flashing lights, just space. A black car waited. The drive took them to a house perched above a lake. Glass walls, warm wood, soft lights glowing like a welcome rather than a display. It didn't feel like a palace. It felt intentional. Lily stood frozen at the entrance. This is temporary, Eleanor said. A place to breathe. Inside, the air smelled like cedar and clean water. Lily walked slowly, fingers brushing the back of a couch, the smooth surface of a table, like she was afraid the world might vanish if she moved too fast. She ended up in a bedroom with wide windows facing the lake. The bed looked untouched, peaceful. When the others left her alone, Lily sat on the edge of the mattress and finally let herself cry. Not the quiet tears she'd mastered, but the kind that shook her shoulders and stole her breath. She cried for the girl at the gas station, for the child no one protected, for the grandmother she never got to know. Hours passed before a knock came at the door. Lily, Michael's voice. Can we talk? She didn't answer right away. Then, okay. He stepped in slowly, like someone entering sacred ground. I won't stay long, he said. I need to say this. She nodded. I don't expect forgiveness, Michael said. I don't deserve it. I just want you to know, I never stopped loving you. I just didn't know how to fight the right way. Lily stared at the floor. You left me there. I know. The silence stretched. Be honest. Could you forgive after being left behind like that? Type forgive if you think you could, or never if it would hurt too much. Lily finally looked up. Her eyes were red, but clear. I don't know if I can forgive you, she said. Not yet. Michael nodded, swallowing hard. That's fair. But, she continued, voice steadying, I don't want to carry this anger forever either. Something in Michael's face broke open. Not relief, but gratitude. I'll wait, he said quietly. As long as it takes. That night, Lily lay awake listening to the water lap against the shore. The world hadn't magically healed. The past still pressed against her ribs. But for the first time, the future didn't feel like a threat. It felt open. And somewhere in the dark, a choice was forming. One that would test her heart in ways she never expected. Morning arrived quietly, light spilling across the lake like a held breath finally released. Lily stood barefoot on the cold wooden floor, wrapped in a sweater that wasn't hers, watching mist lift from the water. For once, there were no shouts, no slammed doors, no fear waiting for her on the other side of waking. Just silence and choice. Downstairs, the smell of coffee drifted through the house. Lily followed it to the kitchen where Michael stood at the counter, carefully flipping pancakes like each one mattered. He glanced up. Good morning. She nodded. Morning. They stood in that fragile space between strangers and family, neither sure how to cross it. I'm heading out later, Michael said, breaking the quiet. Work stuff. But Eleanor will be around if you need anything. Lily poured herself a glass of water. I might go into the city. Michael hesitated. Alone. Yes. He studied her face, then nodded. Okay. The city felt different from above. From the house, it looked like a place where things happened, where lives crossed and collided. Lily wanted to touch that world again, not as someone running, but as someone choosing. She took a car into town and asked the driver to drop her near the shelter. The brick building looked the same. The murals hadn't changed. But Lily had. Grace was sorting donated clothes when Lily stepped inside. She looked up and froze. Lily. Hi. Lily said softly. Grace rushed forward and pulled her into a hug, so tight it stole her breath. We were worried. Then the news. People talking about a jet. I didn't forget this place, Lily said quickly. I just needed to come back. Grace held her at arm's length, eyes searching. Are you okay? Lily nodded. I am. Because of you. She spent the afternoon helping again, folding clothes, serving meals, listening to stories. No one treated her differently, even though rumors floated through the room like dust in sunlight. She was just Lily, and that mattered more than anything. Before leaving, Lily asked Grace for a favor. Could you help me set up a scholarship fund? Lily asked. For girls who need a way out, but don't have one. Grace's eyes filled instantly. You do that? Yes, Lily said without hesitation. This place saved me before anyone else knew my name. As Lily stepped back into the street, something inside her settled. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was shaping something. That evening, she returned to the house to find Eleanor waiting with documents spread neatly across the table. There's one more clause in your grandmother's trust, Eleanor said. It activates only if you choose it. Lily Saturday, what kind of choice? Eleanor slid a single page forward. Your mother. Lily stiffened. The trust includes an offer, Eleanor explained. Legal aid, counseling, financial support, but only if you authorize it. No obligation. No contact unless you want it. Lily's heart pounded. The past surged up, raw and demanding. Later, she stood alone by the lake, document in hand, moonlight trembling across the water. Her mother's face surfaced in her mind, not as the woman who stayed silent, but as the one who once braided her hair and whispered apologies through tears. If you believe love still finds a way to win, comment in. Let's fill this space with hope. Someone reading might need it tonight. Lily closed her eyes and breathed. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting, and kindness didn't mean weakness. The next morning, Lily signed the document. Not for her mother's sake, but for her own. When Michael learned of her choice, he didn't speak for a long time. Then he said quietly, "You're stronger than I ever was." Lily met his gaze. "I learned from what not to do." Weeks passed. Lily enrolled in classes. The scholarship fund launched quietly. Girls began to arrive, one by one, with stories that echoed her own. One afternoon, as Lily spoke at the shelter, her phone buzzed. A message. "Mom, I don't deserve this help, but thank you for not giving up on me." Lily stared at the words, then set the phone down. Her chest ached, but it wasn't pain alone anymore. It was release. The sun dipped low, painting the sky gold and soft. Lily stood at the window, watching the lake shimmer. She hadn't been rescued. She had risen, and the story wasn't over yet. Autumn arrived gently, like it didn't want to disturb what Lily had built. Leaves turned gold along the lake, drifting onto the water and circling slowly before sinking. The house no longer felt temporary. It felt lived in, not because of furniture or light, but because Lily had learned how to breathe inside it. Her days filled quickly now. Morning classes, afternoons at the shelter, evenings reviewing scholarship applications, handwritten letters from girls who sounded like echoes of who she once was. "I just need a chance. I promise I'll work hard. I don't want to disappear." Each letter stayed with her. One evening, Lily sat at the long wooden table, stacks of envelopes spread before her. Michael watched from the kitchen, careful not to interrupt. He had learned when to step forward and when to stay still. "You don't have to read all of those tonight," he said gently. "I want to," Lily replied. "They trusted me with their stories." Michael nodded, something like pride flickering across his face. Not ownership, respect. Later, Eleanor joined them with news. "The fund has more attention than we expected," she said. "Quiet donations. People who don't want credit." Lily smiled faintly. "That's how it should be." A pause settled. "There's something else," Eleanor added. "A request." Lily looked up. "From who?" Eleanor hesitated. "Your mother." The room seemed to contract. "She's completed the counseling," Eleanor continued. "She's working. Slowly. She asked if she could write you a letter. No obligation to respond. No meeting." Lily closed her eyes. The past rose again, but this time it didn't overwhelm her. It simply stood there waiting. "Let her write," Lily said finally. "I'll decide when I read it." That night, Lily walked down to the edge of the lake. The water reflected the moon in broken pieces, never whole, but still beautiful. She thought of the girl at the gas station, the girl who believed the world was done with her. She wished she could sit beside that girl now and whisper, "Just stay. Just breathe. This isn't the end." Weeks later, the shelter held a small gathering. Nothing fancy. Folding chairs, paper cups, soft music playing from someone's phone. Lily didn't want speeches, but Grace insisted on a few words. "Some people think help comes from above," Grace said, voice steady. "But sometimes it comes from someone who stood exactly where you are." She looked at Lily. Lily stepped forward, heart pounding. "I didn't come here to save anyone," she said. "I came here because I was broken. Because you fed me when I was hungry. Because you didn't ask why I was running." She paused, swallowing. "I walked away with nothing," Lily continued. "But what I found here, kindness, patience, dignity, that was everything." The room was silent. Then a few quiet claps. Then more. As Lily stepped down, a young girl approached her, maybe 14, eyes too old for her face. "Do you really think I could get out?" the girl whispered. Lily knelt to meet her gaze. "I know you can, and you won't do it alone. If you believe love still wins, after pain, after silence, after loss, comment in. Let's fill this space with hope. Someone scrolling right now might need to see it." That night, Lily found the letter waiting on her bed. Her mother's handwriting was shaky. "I'm learning how to sit with the things I was afraid to face. I don't ask for forgiveness. I only want you to know, I see you now." Lily folded the letter and placed it in a drawer. Not closed forever. Not open yet. Just there. Winter crept in. Snow dusted the lake. Lily turned 18 quietly. No party, just a candle and a cupcake, and a deep sense of crossing an invisible line. On her birthday morning, Michael handed her a small box. Inside was a simple key. "What's this?" Lily asked. "To your own place," he said. "Down in the city. Close to school. Close to the shelter." Lily stared at him. "I didn't ask for that." "I know," he said softly, "but I wanted you to have a door that was always yours." She hugged him then briefly, fiercely, not because everything was healed, but because something real had grown where hurt once lived. Later that day, Lily packed a single suitcase, not because she was running, but because she was choosing. As she stood at the doorway one last time, the lake calm and bright behind her, Lily felt it, clarity. Not about the future, but about herself. She was no longer the girl who left with nothing. She was the woman who knew exactly what she carried. The city welcomed Lily differently this time, not with noise or pressure, but with familiarity. Her apartment sat above a small cafe, the smell of bread and coffee drifting up through open windows every morning. Sunlight spilled across hardwood floors she chose herself. A place that didn't echo with anger. A door that locked because she wanted it to, not because she was afraid. She unpacked slowly, folding clothes with care. The battered suitcase rested in the corner, still scuffed, still small. She didn't throw it away. Some reminders were meant to stay. Life found its rhythm. Classes challenged her in ways fear never could. The shelter became a second home, then a first in some quiet sense. Girls arrived with eyes full of questions, shoulders tight with survival. Lily learned when to speak and when to listen. She learned that healing wasn't linear and didn't need to be. One afternoon, as snow melted into spring, Lily stood at the cafe window watching people pass. A mother tugged her child's sleeve. A couple laughed over something small. Ordinary moments, stitched together, made a life. Her phone buzzed. "Mom, I'm moving into my own place. I'm scared, but I'm trying." Lily read the message twice. She didn't reply right away. She set the phone down, breathed, and typed, "I'm glad you're trying. Take it one day at a time." She didn't add more. She didn't need to. That evening, Michael visited. He brought takeout and awkward jokes and the kind of presents that didn't ask for applause. They ate on the floor, backs against the couch, watching the city lights flicker on. "I'm proud of you," he said, not looking at her. Lily nodded. "I know. It wasn't arrogance. It was acceptance." Weeks later, the scholarship fund crossed a quiet milestone. 10 girls housed. 8 enrolled in school. 2 reunited with families under safer terms. Lily didn't celebrate loudly. She wrote thank you notes. She showed up. At the shelter's annual gathering, Grace handed Lily the microphone again. Lily hesitated, then smiled. "I used to think being saved meant being carried," she said. "Now I know it means being seen, and then being trusted to stand." She looked around the room. Faces lifted. Hope leaned forward. "If this story moved you, don't scroll past quietly," Lily said softly, voice steady. "Tap like, not for me, but for the soul who carried this pain and still chose kindness." One click can be your way of saying, "I felt you." The applause wasn't thunderous. It didn't need to be. It was warm. It stayed. Later, alone in her apartment, Lily opened the drawer and took out her mother's letter. She read it again, slowly. She didn't cry this time. She folded it back and placed it beside another letter she'd written but not sent. Someday, maybe. At the window, the city breathed. Lily touched the glass, feeling the cool steadiness of it. She thought of the morning at the gas station. The man with grease on his hands. Grace's quiet smile. Ava's chatter. Eleanor's calm certainty. Michael's patience. A grandmother's foresight. A jet that didn't rescue her, but arrived because she had already left. The truth settled in her bones. She hadn't been chosen because she was special. She became special because she chose to keep going. Lily turned off the lights and lay down, listening to the city hum. Tomorrow would bring work. Stories. Decisions. Some hard. Some gentle. And that was okay. Because she knew this now. Walking away with nothing wasn't the end. It was the beginning of learning what mattered. She closed her eyes, heart steady, and let the future come, unafraid.